Today we are talking all about getting clarity in your career, and I have a very special guest with me this day. She's a fellow friend, she's a fellow career coach, and she helps people get clarity in their careers. If you're feeling stuck, you're in the right place because she's going to share with us. Susan Kiamba, welcome.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Always a pleasure to chat with you about all things careers. I think, like you've said, we are colleagues and we have fun times in talking about careers. So, really looking forward to this session.
Me too, me too. Now, let's start it right away. And you talk about helping people get clarity in their career. You mean we have people in the workplace, they look very serious and still they don't have clarity in their career.
Absolutely. People can look very serious and actually have
Uh-huh.
no idea what's going on and what they are doing. And
Mm-hmm.
I talk to such people every single day. At some point, I was such a person way
Okay.
back when I was in the banking industry. So, yes, definitely. There are people who can be walking around and have no idea what they want.
Okay. I would want to know your story, like at what point you are and you did have that clarity. But before you share with us your story, like what are some of the causes? What are the things that make people not have clarity and they have that feeling of being stuck at where they are at?
Okay, cool. So interestingly, it boils down to two things. It's
Mm-hmm.
essentially not knowing what you want. So
Mm-hmm.
why are you even there? Like what dream do you have? What goal do you have around your career? You don't know what you want. And
Mm-hmm.
the other thing is actually not knowing who you are. So what makes you different? What are your skills? What attributes do you have? What strengths do you have? What knowledge do you have that sets you
Mm-hmm.
apart from everyone else? So if you don't know who you are and you don't know what you want, you're going to be very confused. And very soon, in many of our organizations, you find that you hit a certain ceiling. So you start feeling stuck and keep going around in circles, hoping and praying somebody will unstick you.
Mm-hmm. So, knowing yourself first, knowing your skills, that would be the best place to get started. And I know you mentioned, yeah, at some point you are stuck and you're not sure, or you didn't have the clarity in your career. Maybe on a brief, maybe you can tell us where you are at, what you are doing, and how did you get yourself off that kind of scenario.
Cool. So I'm a former banker.
Mm.
And any bankers out there can really relate. Everyone joins banking in one or two ways. Either you're going to join in sales or you're going to join as a teller. So I
Mm-hmm.
had the great pleasure of joining banking as a salesperson. Yet, what I was actually interested in at the time was HR. Now, here's the thing, and Daniel, you know this HR is broad. So I
Yeah.
actually didn't have a very clear picture of exactly what HR meant, what it looked like, or what it could mean for me in terms of a career. So I just kept telling people I want to work in HR. And of course, everyone goes like, oh, okay, that's nice. And with time, I left sales, went into operations. And operations is where we do the exact same thing every single day, Monday to Friday, or Saturday and Sunday, if you actually end up working longer hours. And very soon, because all you're dealing with there is machines and, of course, processes and systems, and I like to deal with people, I kept feeling
Mm-hmm.
like I am not where I want to be. Essentially, I felt stuck. So, how
Yeah.
did I get out? I was supported by my manager then to actually go and have an attachment in HR. So, I went to
Oh,
HR
cool.
department for about a month. And while I was
Mm-hmm.
there, I talked to my HR partner and we came up with a schedule that helped me work in every single department. And by the time I left, I had
Mm-hmm.
clarity, picture perfect clarity about the departments within HR I did not want to work in and the ones
Mm-hmm.
that I actually wanted to work in. And that's how I ended up focusing a lot more now on what I do, which is developing people, which is coaching people, which is training people. So, training and development and just developing talent is where I found myself. Eventually, it was not as fast, but just
Mm-hmm.
that going into HR department to work in the job and to talk to
Right.
the people who are actually doing the job made the big difference for me. And that's something I know many people don't think to do. And that's why they
Mm-hmm.
keep on going round in circles, not knowing exactly what the options are available to them.
That is interesting because first you are able to be aware of not having clarity, I like the second bit. You asked for help, and it is very interesting that yeah, you had a boss who was able to help you again in the journey, give you that exposure, and then have that clarity. Like, this is where I want to be. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue with this conversation. I want to check if you have any questions. Feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll be able to pick up the questions at some point. Let me see what we have here. I can see Felix saying that he is following keenly. Somebody here tuning in from the Roots Party headquarters. Good to know. There's another one saying, "Hi, John. Karibu Sana. I'm looking forward to this." Is this a question? Hello, I just got an interview for financial advisor. Help on what to do. I think he meant exactly. We'll get to your question, Kevin. Now, before we start picking up more questions, I would want to know from you what would be the practical steps that you would advise someone to take for them to get unstuck and to get out of that feeling of I don't know what to do next.
Yeah, that's actually a great question.
Mhm.
And the actual reason why people feel stuck is actually the first step that you need to take. You need to increase your
Mhm.
self-awareness. You need to understand, who am I? And one of the tests and assessments that I've taken over the years is the Clifton Strengths Assessment that's offered by
Mhm.
Gallup. It was the most enlightening assessment I have taken to date around helping me understand what my strengths were. Because many
Mhm.
times, again, people are trying to be someone that they are not. So if somebody tried to make you to be this deep and thoughtful person, you could fake it, but it's not going to be naturally you. So the more self-aware you are, the better it is for you to actually understand under what environments you'd thrive and
Mhm.
what kind of roles and jobs would be suited for you. So increase your self-awareness, take an assessment, spend some time getting to understand who you are. That's the first thing. Then the second thing, in terms of a practical step, is actually building your confidence. Very many people don't get what they want because, one, they never ask, or two, they are too afraid to do the wrong thing. When in essence, when you're stuck, there's no wrong thing. The only wrong thing is staying where you are and doing nothing. It's
Yeah.
refusing to ask for help, it's refusing to reach out. I've had people who message me, for example, and say, "Oh my goodness, I'm so surprised you responded because I have written to so many other people who didn't respond." So,
Uh-huh.
second thing, build your confidence. Build your confidence so that you're able to actually take that step. And the other part to building your confidence is sitting
Mhm.
down with your CV, your life history, or what I like to call a skills inventory. Figure
Mhm.
out, what are these things that you have actually done over the years? How do they
Mhm.
add value? And what value can they add, and to whom? Because if you don't know what you have to offer, if you go for an interview, and this one is already answering Kelvin's question, if you go for an
Yes.
interview and you're not confident, that recruiter is going to know that you're not confident, and they'll know
Mhm.
that you don't know, and they might probably reconsider giving you that job. So build your confidence by doing a skills inventory. Get an understanding of all the things you have done, the value that you bring, and why people should actually hire you. So those are two things. And then the last one, very, very important.
Mhm.
Wishes were horses, even beggars would ride. Move beyond wishing. Daniel, I am sure you talk to people all the time who tell you, year in, year out, this year,
Yeah.
I hope I get a job. I hope I get that promotion. I hope
Yeah.
somebody gives me an opportunity. Now, hope is good. Hope never disappoints. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you need a plan. So, how are you going to get from where you are to where you've identified you actually want to go? So, if you've done your strengths assessment or an assessment to help you understand your strengths, if you've
Mhm.
sat down and you've done your skills inventory, you understand your skills, you understand the value.
Mhm.
Next is saying, I now want to become a manager. I
Mm.
have been an officer, now I want to be a manager.
Yeah.
How will I get there? And that plan helps you identify what you need to do, whom
Mm.
you need to be working with, and the how of actually getting there. For some people, that how means you need to take a course so that you can build some more skills. For some
Right.
others, they need to actually get some more experience, and that could be
Mhm.
gotten by working closely with someone who's already in that position. And for
Mm.
others, you just need to talk to your boss and ask for the opportunity. So, make a plan is the third thing you can practically do to get unstuck. But before you get to the planning, and I see people that usually start with step 3 instead of step 1,
Yeah.
know who you are, know what you have to offer, and then make a plan for where you want to go. Otherwise, you'll still keep spinning your wheels going round in circles. Those Daniel top 3
Yeah.
tips. If we share more than 3, people will be overwhelmed.
I like that. I like that. And just maybe a follow up question. There's that bit, step number one, doing a strength assessment, yeah, and finding out what you're really good at. Um, is this the same a same test as like a personality test, or uh, yeah, getting to know you? What is the difference between a skills assessment? What is it actually looking out for? And is it different from like a personality or a temperament assessment?
So a temperament assessment will only tell one side of the story. So what happens
Mhm.
with the strengths assessment is it shows the things that you naturally do well and where
Mhm.
you thrive. And it also helps you understand your natural way of thinking, acting, and behaving, because we all have that way we see the world. So you
Yeah,
and me, we are both coaches, but we definitely see the world very differently. And we
right.
filter that world from the lens of our strengths. So,
Mhm.
unlike, for example, a personality test that might tell you, for example, that you are a sanguine or that you are an extrovert or an introvert, unlike
Mhm.
that, this one actually tells you this is how you naturally behave and act best. And these
Mhm.
are the areas in which you would thrive automatically. And the thing about strengths, Daniel, is you don't even think about them. No one wakes
Yeah.
up thinking that I'm going to be analytical. People are just analytical. That's just the way they are. Somebody
Mhm.
doesn't wake up saying that I want to be a learner, meaning I'm just curious. I want to know more. I will investigate. I will discover. No one wakes up saying that I want to be someone who can talk naturally to people and talk
Yeah.
very well. Of course, there are those
Mhm.
who develop it with time, but then there's that natural you. And just that natural you helps you thrive, because if you're working on your strengths, then you are better you're more likely to actually be productive. Unlike common theory that we were told this in school, and I'm sure, Daniel, you probably have had this one,
Yeah.
um, work on your weaknesses so that they can become strengths. That never happens. All you do is get a bit better in that thing that you're weak in, but it'll never be a strength. A strength is already naturally in you. That innate talent is already there, and it's what you're cultivating and developing into a strength so that you can do things repeatedly without
Yeah.
trying so hard. And that's the very important part, that you can replicate results many times over because you're
Mm.
working in an area of strength.
I really like that. I usually give this example because this is how we were brought up. As child comes from school, they have done very well in mathematics. They have an 80. They have done not so well in English. They have maybe a 60 or a 50. And the advice would be, now you need to put more effort in your English,
Yep.
which sounds logical.
Yep.
However, if they put more effort in maths, chances of them turning that 80 into a 90 is very high compared to taking that 50 and converting it even to a 60 or a 70. So the idea is when you focus on your strength and make them like your superpowers, that is way better. But also, I advise it's good to know your weaknesses so
Of
that
course.
you know how you cover for them rather than knowing your weaknesses because you want to strengthen them. You want to be very strong in your weakness. It will take you more time and effort and more resources, and maybe you will not be the best in that area. So I like that. Yeah. So let's handle the question. I would want to maybe give him a bit of some uh, advice. Like he's going for an interview. What would you advise? I can see another. Is it a question or a comment? Okay, I'll go through it. So let me do this. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, feel free to drop your question if you have any questions. If you're not sure about your next step in your career, you would get some quick takeaways that you can be able to make use of here. And Susan is here to help you. So let's start with Kevin. Like, how would you advise him? He has an interview. One of the things you said, yeah, you need to have confidence. Yeah, two or more, three things.
So the other thing is, Kevin, read the job description for the role very well. And then in your own time, try and answer, when have I demonstrated this thing? So say, for example, you are asked, how do you tell us about a time? And this is a very common question that happens because many interviews are competency based. Tell us about a
Mhm.
time you had to communicate a message to a client. Now, communication is probably one of the skills that has been listed in
Mhm.
the job description, and you are required to demonstrate that you communicated. Now, go back and think, when have I communicated? If you had another job and you've been working with clients, then you're able to cite the specific day and time or specific incident. So there's actually very many formulas. We shall use a simple one. It's called CAR, CAR. C stands for context. What happened? What was the situation? A stands for action. What did you actually do to communicate that message to the client? And then the last one is the result. What was the result of you having communicated to that client or to that customer? So, besides the confidence, go through that job description again and look through some of those skills that they're going to ask you for, some of those experiences, and think about a specific example you can give where you demonstrated communication skills as an example in that interview. And then, of course, the other thing you need to be ready for is actually to tell them about yourself. Many organizations ask you this question. So, Kelvin, tell us about yourself. And Daniel, you and me know people have a deer in headlights moment because
Yeah.
they are not sure what they should actually say, and they start going so the key to that is just tell them a little bit about your background, what you've studied, how much experience you have, and something about yourself that is relevant to the role. So, say, for example, you can say, I'm a Bachelor of Commerce graduate from the University of Nairobi. I've been working for the last 3 years as a financial advisor for Britam. This, again, is an example. And I am very excited at the idea of helping people connect solutions with their insurance challenges, something like that. So that says enough for them to know that you know who you are. And it also allows you to break that ice and allows you to get more comfortable, because the one thing people like to do is to talk about themselves, even if they claim they don't like to talk about themselves. So, two tips for you. So, expect to be asked things like, tell us about yourself, or just a way to break the ice. Think through what
Mhm.
you will say, and then think about, look at the JD and look for specific examples where you have demonstrated those skills and those competencies that they are asking for. And then, of course, Daniel, this would not be complete without saying, what salary expectations do you have?
Yeah.
Because that is a common question that people actually get. So, Kelvin, do your research, get to know a little bit more about the company, look at the job description again, walk through it, think about specific examples you can give, and then remember to brief. And one last tip I will offer you, if for some reason your mind goes blank, make sure you have a bottle of water or request for some water when you're in the room, so that if it becomes too tense and your mind goes blank, you
Mhm.
breathe, pick up your water slowly, take a sip. As you're thinking very quickly, put it down and then respond. So, all the best, Kelvin. I am sure you're going to ace that interview because you've been here with us today, you're preparing, and you'll be ready. Please don't be like me for my first job interview. Daniel, you'll not believe that I did not research the company. And one
Uh-huh.
of the questions they asked is, what do you know about our products? I knew nothing. Like, I
Oh
had
my God.
absolutely no idea. So I made stuff up on the go. And
Yeah.
then when they asked me, okay, could you break it down a bit more? I started saying, I think there's the blue one. I think there's the black one. Like, I had no idea.
Oh my
Never
God.
again. So please, Kelvin, do not show up without having researched the company. Definitely
Yeah.
research the company and what they do.
That is quite a valuable piece of advice. And I like the fact that they need to go back and check the job description. I normally say, if looking for a job was an exam, the marking scheme is the job description. Yeah. They have already told you, this is the person we are looking for. These are the duties that you will be doing. these are the attributes we want in a person. So your work is just to go and be clear. What is it that we are looking for? And then try to present that, if that is really you. Thank you. Thank you. I can see some more comments coming here. Yeah, this one was Lillian. Thank you. Lillian has been very a super fan. I call her a super fan. She always show up every live stream whenever we post a video. She's out there. She said, thanks. I now know strength, confidence, plan, and self-value make one to more to the next step.
Oh,
Yeah, and I wish to that I think he was telling this to his son so that he can be able to get value. Thank you, Lillian. Helen saying it is very insightful. Oh, I also have Rachel Sum, also a very great follower, saying that this has been a very resourceful forum, great insight. Yeah, Job has just tuned in. Now, Susan, I know you have a program that is specifically out there to help people who are, especially in the banking industry, and they're feeling stuck. They don't have that clarity. Maybe you can tell us about it and how people can be able to get in touch with you and get value out of this program that you have.
awesome. Happy to do that.
Yes.
So the steps I've actually just shared are essentially the bedrock of my program, which is called Unlock Your Career Growth, where we
Mhm.
walk through in more detail, because right now we've just scratched the surface. So we walk through in more detail the clarity.
Mhm.
How do you get clarity? How do you know what you want, and how do you know what you who you are? And we do some assessments. We'll have some worksheets that you can actually work through to help you uncover what you want out of a career and help you understand yourself better. And then once we're done with that, we help you build your confidence. That skills inventory that I talked about, we work together around your skills inventory, and we work together around your LinkedIn profile, because believe it or not, LinkedIn is one of the most powerful platforms out there for professionals. So any professional who is looking to grow and develop their career, get unstuck, find a job, promotion, whatever it is, LinkedIn is a place to be. And then lastly, that plan that I talked about, we work together to actually develop your plan. So unlock your career growth in 8 weeks. We work together to help you get clarity, gain confidence, and make a plan for the next step in your career. And the best place to reach out to me, as always, is LinkedIn. I am a huge fan, having benefited greatly from LinkedIn. So Susan Kiamba on LinkedIn, find me, send me a message, and I am more than happy to chat with you about the program and how I can actually help you. And I can promise you, step one is always strengths. So I'm a big proponent of strengths. So one of the things we'll be talking about is, have you done a strengths assessment? Do you know the value of a strengths assessment?
Thank you very much. I have dropped the link to your LinkedIn on in the chat, and anyone who is looking out there to get in touch with her, yes, you can find her. That is the link, Susan Kiamba. I've just projected. You can see very clearly her communicating what she does, giving helping people get clarity in their career. Now, there's another question. I can see more questions coming in. Feel free, guys, to drop any question you have. We have about 7 minutes, then we can call it a day. We just like keeping it 30 minutes. If you have any question, drop it in the chat, and then we can continue. I can see Kevin saying, thank you, Madam Susan. Actually, I'm a junior. I got no experience. So that is not about experience. I think it's what value are you bringing? Are you able to execute what they were able to describe in the job description? But thank you, you are able to find value.
And the
Now,
other
one
thing,
question.
Daniel, just before you
Yes.
jump onto the other question, the other thing, and this is for Kelvin and anyone else who's tuning in and is just curious, no one has no experience. When you were in high school, when you were in college, in your family, at some point, you have to talk to someone. In school, you arranged something, and with people you know, you've actually done some sort of projects. So there's no one who has no experience. The key is just making that experience relevant for the role that you're applying for and being sincere in explaining it. So you're not making stuff up. So if you are leading the debate club, then say that I was a leader in the debate club, and in that time I had somebody who came against me because they didn't think I deserved to lead. And this is how I handled it. So that's a real life example. It's not necessarily in the work setting, but it's still relevant experience wise. So just for Kelvin and anyone who's joining us, no one look into other experiences, internships, attachments, volunteerships, all those are counting and they are all relevant. So don't be discouraged. You have something. No experience is wasted. Something you have is of value and will resonate with your employer. Daniel,
I
I
was
just thought
just
I should
about
highlight that. Yeah.
I was just about to quote you on that. That is Susan Kiamba's quote. Yeah, no experience is wasted. It all adds up. And maybe just to add on that, most people think for it to be experience in the CV, it should be paid experience. And there are so many places we get experience in school, volunteering, internship, even if you're just a member of a club in school or you're in a football team, there's a bit of teamwork. You coordinated people, you planned, you organized for something. It doesn't need to be paid experience that I went to work, I was in the payroll, I was paid, so that one is what counts as experience. But I like that. A lot of good stuff coming in here. Flora saying that she tuned in late, but we're glad that you're here. We also have Clement saying, yeah, very resourceful. This is great so far. Someone on LinkedIn, Ian coming in saying hi, hi. Okay, good. So I also get this question a lot, and one of the things that people feel like what is making them feel stuck or not have clarity in terms of where they want to go next is when either they have a toxic boss or they have a toxic work environment. How would you advise someone? How do they deal with a toxic boss or a toxic work environment?
Okay, that's something that comes up often because sadly, some of our workplaces are not necessarily the best places to work. There are people who just go through some very crazy experiences. And if you can, avoid it. Of course, that might sound oversimplified because how do you avoid your boss? It's not actually easy to avoid your boss. But then, if you can avoid the person who's actually toxic, avoid them or minimize the amount of contact that you have with them. Second thing that you need to think about is how can you stay positive? Because in as much as the environment can be really crazy, there's still something that you take out of it. That something could be a colleague who encourages you. That something could be the kind of work that you do and the things that you've actually learned from that role. So it's not everything that's terrible. There's something positive in that role. Choose to focus on the positive. The other thing when you're dealing with toxic environments is always just have your boundaries. Know how much is too much. You know, you can only be shouted at so much. I once had a boss who would lecture you for an hour. Now, can you imagine, Daniela, 1 hour lecture? That's like crazy. It's too much. It's too crazy. It's too intense. So have boundaries. Decide I cannot sit here for half an hour and just listen to this. I need a break. I need to step away. I need to take some time to just myself and come together. So have your boundaries.
Yes.
Decide if you can or cannot. If you cannot avoid these people, just know how much is too much, and then get a support system. That support system doesn't have to be someone in your department, doesn't somebody have to be somebody in your organization. It can be somebody outside, somebody who sits and listens to you vent. Because when you're going into a workplace where there's just so much, it's pressure, there's cutthroat environment, people are fighting each other, they're undercutting, they're gossiping, they're gaslighting, they're doing all these crazy things. You need a support system. You need somebody who will listen to you and you will vent and they will not judge you and they will not, and you'll not have to pretend you're okay with this person. That is extremely helpful. And then last but not least, no job is worth your mental health. When all else fails, leave. Now, it might sound harsh. You might have all these questions of, but how will I pay my bills? Who will help me? What if, what if, what if? But no job is worth your mental health. The sad reality is all of us in our jobs are dispensable. Meaning, if for some reason today you dropped dead, had a heart attack, were in hospital for the next 3 months, somebody will sit at your desk,
That is
somebody
very
will do
right.
your job,
Okay,
and the
I think.
organization will continue. So,
Okay, thank
Daniel,
you.
those are my tips for dealing with toxic environments.
Okay, someone is calling me to confirm that I don't know if they want to confirm if I'm live or something.
We're
But
definitely
yes,
live.
but Yes, yes, this is like just we finishing up in a minute, and then I'll be able to talk to them. Otherwise, I'll search for you now. Okay, thank you very much, Susan. I really appreciate that. Has been a great session. If you would want to get in touch with her, Susan, a very good friend, and I think we also work very well. If you want to get clarity in your career, you don't know what to do next, find her on LinkedIn, and yes, get in touch with her. I've also posted her the link to her page on in the chat. I've also put a link there for some resources. If you want to get some free resources, we do support people who are looking for a job or they want to go to the next level in their career. There are a lot of free resources. I've dropped them in the chat. Make sure you take advantage of that. So, as we finish up, what would be the last thing you would want to say? Then we can close it. Your last words.
My parting shot: your career is your responsibility. So do not sit somewhere waiting for your boss to give you an opportunity. Don't sit and wait for your parent, your relative, somebody to see that you're working so hard so that they can actually give you the opportunity that you're looking for. Own your career and then do the work that it takes for you to get clarity, for you to see growth, for you to make transitions if that is what it takes for you to move where it is that you actually want to move. Own your career. That is my parting shot, Daniel.
Super, super. Ladies and gentlemen, on your career, take the next step in getting wherever you want to get. Otherwise, thank you very much. And until next time, we are out.
Thanks, Daniel.